we move on through the Gospels. Today I'm in the Gospel of Mark, in Mark chapter 4. And at the end of Mark chapter 4, we find the story where Jesus and his disciples get into a boat to cross the Sea of Galilee. And as they're crossing it during the night, a storm comes up on the Sea of Galilee, and the boat is being swamped, and Jesus is asleep during the storm. His disciples wake him up and say, "Hey, don't you care that we're going to drown?" And Jesus gets up and he rebukes the wind and the waves, and immediately the storm dies. Then he turns and says to his disciples, "Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?" And Mark tells us that the disciples were terrified and asked each other, "Who is this that even the wind and the waves obey him?" A couple of things I want us to think about. First, the disciples are fighting the storm. They see all of the things that are going on, and they're afraid that they're going to die. All the while, Jesus is asleep in the stern of the boat. And then the disciples are terrified after Jesus calms the storm. A couple of things that jump out to me that I want you to think about and maybe pray a little bit about. One is, as we think about Jesus and we really take the time to look at him, how is he asleep in the stern of the boat as the disciples are fighting the storm and water is pouring into the boat? It says the boat was being swamped. How is it that Jesus is asleep? Is he just completely exhausted? Or could it be that he knows who his Father is? He knows who he is and the purpose that he has, and knows the storm isn't gonna deter my Father's will. Makes me wonder when I get terrified, when I start allowing fear to drive everything, is it partly because I'm not really living in the awareness of who God is and who I am in him, and that his purposes, his plans for my life are secure? How about you? When you're driven by fear, when you're terrified, where is your faith in that? The other thing that struck me was this: when Jesus calms the storm, the disciples are terrified. How does Jesus move in your life that terrifies you? When he reveals his power, what's your response? And the last thing that I was thinking about was this: the disciples are terrified, but they move on in faith, trusting and following Jesus and drawing closer. I would encourage you, in the midst of your fear, draw near to him. What are you afraid of today? I'd encourage you to spend some time praying about that and letting the Holy Spirit guide you and direct you.